The story follows Emily, a young and internationally celebrated figure skater whose life suddenly shifts from fame and admiration to a desperate struggle for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The film opens with a quiet but haunting tone as Emily reflects on death, hinting at deeper emotional conflicts beneath her successful exterior. This introspection is quickly interrupted by a catastrophic event. During a promotional expedition on a remote glacier, she becomes separated from her team. A section of the ice breaks away and she awakens stranded alone on a drifting ice floe in the freezing ocean. As news spreads, search and rescue teams launch an urgent operation. Helicopters sweep across the icy expanse, scanning grid after grid, but the environment is unforgiving. Strong winds, snowfall, and shifting ice make it nearly impossible to locate her. Reports suggest she may have fallen into the water or drifted far from the original site. Despite their efforts, hope begins to fade among the rescuers, who recognize that survival in such conditions is unlikely beyond a short window. Meanwhile, Emily fights to stay alive. The film immerses the viewer in her isolation, showing her scavenging through limited supplies, battling freezing temperatures, and trying to maintain her sanity. She manages to salvage some basic equipment, including a lighter and a tent, though both are damaged. Her attempts to start a fire and secure shelter are often met with failure due to the relentless wind and cold. Hunger, dehydration, and hypothermia become constant threats. To cope with the overwhelming loneliness, Emily drifts into memories of her past. These moments reveal her life as a performer, graceful routines, applause, and admiration from audiences. Yet they also hint at emotional burdens, including pressure, expectations, and unresolved guilt tied to her younger sister Anna. Through imagined conversations and lullabies, it becomes clear that Anna may no longer be alive, and Emily carries a deep sense of responsibility or regret about her death. This emotional layer adds depth to her physical struggle, showing that her fight is not only for survival but also for redemption and peace. A turning point occurs when her phone unexpectedly connects to a signal. Desperate, Emily answers, hoping it is a rescue team. Instead, she finds herself speaking to Harry, a telemarketer trying to sell air conditioners. At first, the interaction is almost absurd. Emily is pleading for her life while Harry continues his sales pitch, assuming she is joking. The disconnect between their realities creates both tension and dark humor. Eventually, Emily convinces him that she is serious, though he remains skeptical. Their conversations become a central part of the story. Harry, who initially seems insignificant and even irritating, gradually reveals his own struggles. He shares his abandoned dreams of becoming a basketball player and later a doctor, both derailed by personal limitations and family responsibilities. He lives a life marked by disappointment, caring for his siblings and sick mother while feeling trapped in a job he despises. He sees himself as a failure, someone who never achieved anything meaningful. Through their dialogue, a unique bond forms between the two. Emily, once surrounded by admiration and success, now depends entirely on the voice of a stranger. Harry, who feels invisible and unimportant, suddenly becomes essential to someone's survival. Their conversations shift from practical pleas for help to deeper reflections on life purpose and human connection. Emily challenges Harry's self-perception, refusing to see him as worthless, while Harry forces Emily to confront the reality of her situation and her own inner struggles. As days pass, Emily's physical condition worsens. The ice beneath her continues to crack and melt, drifting her farther from any possible rescue. She experiences hallucinations, blurring the line between reality and memory. At one point, she encounters a polar bear cub, a brief moment of companionship that is both touching and dangerous. Feeding it with the little food she has, she forms a fleeting connection, only to realize the looming threat of the cub's mother nearby. This encounter reinforces the fragile balance between life and death in her environment. Rescue teams eventually begin to lose hope. With worsening weather and diminishing resources, they consider terminating the search. The vastness of the ocean and the instability of the ice make it increasingly unlikely that Emily can be found. This external abandonment mirrors Emily's internal struggle as she grapples with the possibility that no one is coming to save her. Despite everything, her connection with Harry keeps her going. Their conversations become more honest and vulnerable. Harry admits that he feels trapped in his life, much like Emily is physically trapped on the ice. Emily in turn acknowledges that her seemingly perfect life was not as fulfilling as it appeared. Fame and success did not protect her from loneliness or pain. Through each other, they find a sense of understanding and validation that neither had experienced before. In one of the most emotional moments, Emily speaks to her sister Anna, imagining a peaceful place where they can be together again. This imagined reunion suggests that Emily is preparing herself for the possibility of death, seeking forgiveness and closure. Yet at the same time, her continued efforts to survive and her insistence on staying connected with Harry show that she has not given up entirely. Emily, a world-famous figure skater whose glamorous life sharply contrasts with the brutal reality she faces after becoming stranded on a drifting ice floe in the Arctic. As her fragile connection with Harry, the telemarketer, deepens, more of her past is revealed, adding emotional weight to her physical struggle for survival. Harry, who initially doubted her story, begins to investigate her identity online. He finds videos and photos confirming that Emily had indeed been on an Arctic expedition with her skating team. In one of the clips, she is seen carrying a small wooden urn. When he asks about it, Emily reveals that it contains the ashes of her younger sister Anna. This revelation becomes a turning point in the story as it uncovers the emotional core that has driven Emily's actions. Through a detailed and painful recollection, Emily explains how Anna died years ago in a tragic accident. The two sisters had been playing in a meadow during a storm. Anna was frightened and wanted to go home, but Emily, driven by childish defiance and a desire to prove bravery, encouraged her to run across the field. In a sudden and devastating moment, a lightning strike hit Anna, killing her instantly. Emily has carried the guilt of that moment ever since, believing that her actions led to her sister's death. This trauma has shaped her life, even as she rose to fame as a figure skater and later became a writer, publishing a book inspired by the bedtime stories she and Anna once shared. Harry continues to scroll through social media posts and videos from Emily's team, piecing together what happened on the glacier. He discovers footage of the morning she disappeared. In the video, Emily explains that she wants to scatter Anna's ashes alone, choosing what she calls the most beautiful place on Earth. Her teammates are seen celebrating and enjoying themselves, unaware of the tragedy about to unfold. Emily skates toward the edge of the glacier, disappears from view, and shortly after the ice collapses. This confirms her story and forces Harry to confront the reality that she has been telling the truth all along. Despite this realization, tension remains between them. Harry questions why Emily would spend her final moments talking to a stranger instead of reaching out to her friends or loved ones. Emily responds by pointing out that he too is choosing to stay on the call, revealing that both of them are seeking connection in their own ways. Their conversation becomes increasingly introspective, exploring themes of loneliness, purpose, and the human need to be heard. Emily acknowledges that she may not survive. She tells Harry that this call might be her last, and regardless of what he believes, it has meant something to her. Harry in turn begins to feel a sense of responsibility. He searches for news updates and finds a devastating article. Emily's team has already assumed she is dead. A scarf belonging to her was found in the water and the search operation has been called off. The headline refers to her as a lost friend and a great skater, implying that the world has already moved on. This news shatters Emily's remaining hope. She begs Harry to contact her teammates and tell them she is still alive, but the situation is beyond his control. As they speak, the ice beneath her continues to crack and shift, emphasizing the urgency and danger of her situation. Her physical condition deteriorates further. She suffers injuries, extreme exhaustion, and starvation. In one scene, she manages to catch a small fish, which becomes both a source of sustenance and a symbol of her desperation. She speaks to it as if it were a companion, apologizing before eating it and even encouraging it to survive. This moment highlights her fragile mental state as isolation pushes her to the edge of sanity. The act of eating the fish is both necessary and emotionally devastating, underscoring the primal reality of survival. As time passes, the environment grows even more hostile. Storms roll in, bringing rain and thunder, echoing the traumatic memory of Anna's death. The parallel between past and present becomes clear. Once again, Emily is caught in a storm, facing mortality and grappling with guilt. However, this time she begins to confront her feelings more openly. Instead of running from her past, she starts to accept it. Her hallucinations intensify, blending memories, imagination, and reality. She revisits the meadow where Anna died, reflecting on how that moment marked the end of her childhood innocence. She realizes that she has been living under the weight of that guilt ever since, even during the height of her career. The applause, fame, and achievements never truly freed her from the burden she carried. In a profound shift, Emily begins to let go of this guilt. She reflects on the idea of living in the present rather than being trapped in the past or consumed by the future. For the first time, her mind becomes clear. She no longer sees life as a burden defined by expectations and regrets. Instead, she experiences a sense of release, as if she has finally made peace with herself and with Anna. The film builds toward an ambiguous climax. Amid a violent storm, Emily appears to lose consciousness as the ice breaks apart around her. The scene transitions in a surreal way, suggesting either rescue or a passage into another state of being. There are hints of a helicopter and emergency response, but nothing is definitively confirmed. The imagery leaves it unclear whether she is physically saved or whether these are her final moments perceived through a fading consciousness. In the closing sequence, Emily speaks in a reflective tone, stating that she has left behind the once upon a time life, the life defined by past trauma and external pressures. She describes a sense of infinity, as if she has transcended the limitations that once confined her. This can be interpreted in multiple ways, as a metaphor for emotional liberation, a near-death experience, or even death itself. The final scene returns to Harry. In a quiet and emotionally charged moment, Emily calls him again. This time the tone is different, calmer, lighter, almost peaceful. She thanks him, suggesting that their connection had a profound impact on her. The call mirrors their first interaction, but in reverse, with Emily now initiating the conversation. This cyclical structure reinforces the idea that their encounter, though brief and unlikely, changed both of them. The film ends without explicitly revealing Emily's fate, leaving the audience to decide whether she survived or not. What remains certain is the transformation she underwent. Through extreme isolation and the unexpected bond with a stranger, she confronted her deepest fears and regrets, ultimately finding a sense of peace. At its core, the story is not just about survival in a physical sense, but about emotional survival. It explores how human connection, even with someone completely unknown, can provide meaning in the darkest moments. Emily's journey shows that while life can be shaped by tragedy and guilt, it is still possible to find clarity, forgiveness, and even a form of freedom, whether in life or in death. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.